Good Sunday morning, everyone. MBH45304 here with a video on a Pioneer RX-560 receiver. This receiver is circa 1993 and it's had a long history. Where I work in a foundry. We make aluminum castings and stuff. And until up to about 2 or 3 years ago, we were allowed to have stereo receivers and radios in the shop. Well, due to restrictions in OSHA and stuff and all the regulations we got to go through now, the noise levels were too high. And to compensate for some of that, even though it's noisier than anything you can ever imagine inside of that shop, a radio just adds to the chaos, they had us remove all the stereos out of the shop. This particular receiver in front of you, I work with the guy that this belonged to. His mother bought this new in 1993, and he says that she paid right around $1,000 for it when it was bought new. But when it was purchased, besides the receiver in front of you, it also had a Pioneer 6-disc CD changer, the ones that take the magazines, and a 12-volt Pioneer turntable, and the receiver in front of you, along with the speakers. I have no idea what the speakers look like for this, because I do not have them and I've never seen them. So, by whatever means, he wound up with that receiver and it wound up in the foundry. Well, to compensate over all the noise, a lot of these receivers were turned up way past their design specifications for a short period of time, and several of these wound up getting tossed due to blown channels, due to just utter stupidity for the most part, of one guy trying to hear his radio over another guy working beside him. So it's probably a blessing in disguise that they did come in and make us remove the stereos and stuff. I acquired this receiver out of the dumpster at work probably 6 years ago now. So I've actually had it since 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. And when I got it, the red light, the standby light here, would come on, showing it has power. You'd press the power switch, it'd come out of safety and click, and then do nothing. You had to unplug it to make the red light come back on. So at the time I wasn't into electronics, I didn't really care about them. I took this receiver to an electronics friend, and he said it had a blown channel. Go figure, I never would have thought that in a foundry. Anyway, a lot of receivers that come out of there suffered from that. And so he rebuilt the channel, and it's set. I set this receiver back on the shelf in the garage, and I never really played it a whole lot. And if you're wondering, the tape you're seeing here on the door, when somebody threw that in the dumpster, it broke off the little latch, which I imagine you can't see. It's down here. It's like a little hook latch that latches on the back of this door to keep it shut. Got busted off, or somebody might have got a tape jammed in there and jerked it open, but whatever, broke that little latch off. Now the tape decks don't work on this, and I'm going to sell this receiver anyway, and the new owner is not worried about having belts put on the tape mechanisms. So they do run, but the belts are so sloppy on this that it actually won't pull up the slack on the tape. It just engages everything and stops. So it needs new belts, but the motors run fine. But he's not worried about that. He has an external CD player and a tape deck he's going to put with this, so I'm not really worried about that. But what I always thought was cool about these receivers, not just Pioneer, there's several other ones, was when you first pressed the power button, the red light would go off, you heard a click. Well, then once it come out of safety, you'd hear the other set of relays inside click, and the receiver would come on. I'm a nerd, I guess. I always thought that was neat. So let's give it a listen. And there we go. Now I just have it playing through a pair of Iowa speakers, and these come out of the foundry as well, and all that's really good on them is the woofers. They've cranked them up so high they've blown the mids and the tweeters, and I thought it was just a bad 100 volt 4 microfarad capacitor in there. Well, no, the capacitor's fine. They've just blown the mid and the high by cranking these receivers up so damn loud. So what this thing has on it, it's got a 5-band equalizer. You have a dynamic bass extension system and a super bass control. Now I don't have a remote for this, but I did have a remote at one time that was capable of at least turning the volume up and down, things like that, because this does have a motorized volume control. We also have a tuner section, video, auxiliary, tape, tuner, phono, and CD. This does have a sort of simulated Dolby surround, which when you turn that on, it kicks on a set of rear speakers. A and A plus B speaker selector. You have a rear volume control and input balance control in your balance, and along with your volume. You have your tuner section here. This is supposed to be built to look like individual components, but it's not. It's one big box with circuitry inside. You got your FM mono, your band selector, and memory. This will hold 24 presets. You have to double click them twice to get 24 to come, once for 12. Your manual and automatic plus minus tuning, and your Dolby noise reducted tape decks, high speed, normal speed dubbing, and a pause button, which I said do not work. But all in all, this is one nice receiver. I had to put new feet on the bottom, and inside a large portion of this cabinet is actually empty because it has simulated surround. There's a big board on top and just a small section in the back of that is used. The rest of it's empty. So if it did have Dolby surround, I reckon that would probably have been used for that. But that's just a brief overview of this system, and I wanted to share it before it was sold, and thanks for watching.